What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We are back live. Yesterday was a day 2-1 against Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As you can see, the smiles in the panel. Ricky, this is probably the happiest I've ever seen you.
Boys, I've been slept for about 15 hours. I've actually not slept. I've done last one on Spurs. I'm doing We Are Tottenham TV, and I've not slept yet. Oh my god!
You don't need to sleep after a win like that.
I know. Normally, I can't wait to go to bed after watching Tottenham. Now I can't. Now I'm staying up. No, honestly, I think you boys know, and Macca knows how important the cups are to me. I put them on par with Arsenal home and away, Chelsea home and away. So, in a very, very good mood. I've got to say, look, I said it on last one on Spurs that I've given Ange, some stick, I think it's fair to say, since his appointment. I've held him really to account, as Macca's trying to keep a straight face there. But look, absolute credit to Ange Postecoglou for the lineup he selected. I said it as soon as that lineup came out. I think that gave everybody as a Spurs fan the feeling that we are taking this competition seriously. We are taking this game seriously. And I think that really, boys, I'm going to be honest here, set the tone for the performance, for the result. Because when that team came out, you knew Spurs were serious. And when Spurs are serious, they can be a very, very good side. And you saw that against City. We pressed them ever so well. I'm already going into it. Let me shut up. Bring in Macca, can you? And we'll get this show. Please.
Macca, you were there just like us last night. I mean, the vibes were immaculate, as they're going to be for the next hour on this stream. But how are you keeping, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, boys. Thank you. And again, I apologise for the viewers and listeners. I am very hoarse today, very hoarse after singing high. And it was a very, very. And sometimes when you're in a stadium, you don't realise how powerful the atmosphere feels or sounds outside of the stadium. One of my good boys, one of my best mates, Nick Mine, he sits in the North Stand. And he said to us afterwards, he messaged the group and he said, mate, the South Stand was alive tonight. It was alive. You can feel it around the stadium. And then obviously everyone messaging and whatever from the TV, watching it, saying it was an amazing atmosphere. And it was. So, brilliant day. It's just so Spurs, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? To be so bad on Sunday and then to be, I don't want to say so good and get carried away, but these are what football moments are for. Right here, right now, for these moments. If you can't get happy about beating City in the cup, you may as well go home, right? That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant day, brilliant result. To be fair, I thought it was a really good performance, lads, to be honest. And I think we fully deserved to win the game.
Yeah, Macca, you talk about being so Spurs. We were just on the stream earlier going through all the moments like that we've had, like really bad lows, and then all of a sudden it's followed like a really big highlight. We beat Inter Milan like 3-1, and then the next game we lose to Inter. Beat AC Milan. We lose to Blackpool the next game. We beat Inter Milan. We then lose to Bolton the next game. We lose to Portsmouth in the FA Cup semi-final. We then beat Chelsea and Arsenal back to back. It's just Tottenham. You never know what you're going to get with Spurs.
Do you know what? That's what I know it's highly frustrating for that, but that's why all the criticism around Ange and all that it's not an Ange issue, because you just all them things that's happened before has got nothing to do with Ange. It's got literally nothing to do with it. What he's trying to do is he's trying to change that. I totally get that, but I'm actually not even sure that Spurs either, Sim, to be honest. I bet every single club, every fans and whatever, every single club can point at moments that happens. I think the key thing with Tottenham is, and obviously we're not there yet, but the key thing to Tottenham is to have one of them high moments in a final, right? That's when you get over the line, and that's the reality, isn't it? So, I mean, this
point on all of us together, just like all of us, boys, all of us together at Wembley, right? Seeing Spurs lift the trophy. I don't care about Champions League. Listen, I want Spurs to go final. Europa League, don't get me wrong, but this is what football is about. It ain't about, beating Ipswich at home and, I don't disrespect what I mean by that with regards to the league. It is about winning. It is about winning. Don't let anybody tell you any different. Football is about winning. And that's why, for me, look, I'll be honest with you, I find it sometimes very hard to get up for some league games, which might sound crazy to some people, but the cup games are what hurt me most and hit me hard, and it takes me weeks and weeks and months sometimes to recover, because of the nature of that. I know for Spurs,
don't have to worry about that now, Rick, do you? Because we just beat City.
Well, let me worry about it in December. But you know what I'm saying, boys? I mean, look, listen, you saw the atmosphere there last night, and the fans at the end of the game. Ange Postecoglou, I'm sure, looked around and thought, right, I get it. I totally get it, and I understand. These fans have waited so long to win that they are desperate and they're craving for success. And to be fair, Ange's only been here for just over a year or so. We've had 16 years of waiting and waiting and waiting for something. Give us anything. And look, I say we should be happy. We've got to be happy. Like Macca said, if you can't get excited after last night, God, what are we doing here? What's the point of this?
100%.
Look, obviously it was a really good night last night, right? But there's a bit of a narrative from the haters being like, oh, why are you so happy? You just beat a Man City C team, D team, all this kind of stuff. And I'm looking at the team, right? You got Phil Foden up top, Josko Gvardiol, Kovacic coming on at half-time, a back four, which, you know, could easily start any game for Man City in the Premier League. You're looking at the average age of the squad, right? We've actually got a younger average age of squad than Man City that turned up yesterday. So I'm looking at this narrative and I'm like, you lot are just haters, man. You just don't like to see Tottenham do well. That's all it is. And we beat a very good Man City team last year, albeit, yeah, it was a weakened team. They had the choice to bring on Haaland. They didn't do that. I'm looking at this win in comparison to maybe Ange's big wins as a Spurs manager to date. So you go back to the Liverpool game. Obviously, they had 2 men sent off that day. Villa 4-0 away. Macca, do you think last night was the best win for Ange Postecoglou so far in his Spurs tenure?
Great question, mate. I think going away to Old Trafford and winning 3-0 is a big win. And actually, some of the previous managers have had them big wins. I think Jose smashed Man United, didn't we? 6-1. Excuse me. Poch done them 3-0, didn't he? When Lucas scored 2. So they've had some big wins up Old Trafford. And I think with Man City, I mean, Nuno done them. Do you know what I mean? Like, fair play to Nuno, by the way, and he's doing really well. I think he's about to win.
Mac, every Spurs manager beats Man City.
That's my point. That's my point. Is, hang on a minute. Everyone beats Man City.
Right, that's it. That's next, boys.
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's an impressive win. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think I did see that stat. I did chuckle when Sky were rolling out the narrative. This young Man City side, and our average age of the side was 3 years younger than them. It was like, you know, it just makes you die, doesn't it? But it was impressive, Ben, and it was a pleasure to be there and a pleasure to watch. I mean, that I know we're going to get into the goals, but Timo's sticking out in the back of the net. Everyone was holding their bated breath, thinking, mate, play it to Dom, don't play it to bloody Timo. But that's exactly what he needed and exactly what happened. To be fair to the bloke, he carried on missing afterwards, didn't he? Because he probably got a hat-trick. So, you know, I think one of the things I did actually want to highlight, and I'm not sure we'll get into it, is the great minutes that we're getting in some of these players. Now, you might, and some people might analyse Archie Gray, for example, saying, "Oh, you know, he got roasted, he got done for the goal, he played well." But I'm looking at it going, these are great minutes for this guy, getting there, playing there, and this is building up. That again, Richarlison, people say, "Oh, he was shocking when he came, he should have scored." Whatever, it's true. He's come back from an injury, and these are good minutes that are getting into him. So I kind of like that. I like Dragushin as well, getting good minutes into their legs. Do you see where I'm coming from? Into their bodies, into their feeling part of the team. Like we didn't. Maybe even Ange, I was going to say Poch, maybe even Ange didn't think he was going to play Ben Davies. None of us was thinking Ben Davies was coming in or coming on. But when he did, now Ben Davies totally feels part of something that's growing. Do you see where I'm coming from, lads? Viewers and listeners. I think that's real. I think that's an underbelly that's happening that will help us in the future. And hopefully it'll be in 3 games' time when we lift the cup, right? But ultimately, I think that's important that these guys now, they're coming into the side and they're feeling part of something rather than under previous managers. Sometimes it just felt like you are the B team or the C team, and actually I'm just going to throw you in. Don't feel like that now, and it also don't feel like if Dragushin has to play at the weekend against Villa, is anyone bothered? Like, you know, if Ben Davies has to come in, like he proved it even last season before, whatever, you know, big games. Are you that bothered? Like, no. And it says there's a depth there, but there's also there's a feeling of we're all together, and I think that's really important in team sport.
I don't understand. Sorry, Rick. I just don't understand the narrative around the two players that you're talking about in Archie Gray and Richarlison saying that they had poor performances, because Archie Gray did get done in the first half, but he massively improved in the second half. And it's all about learning from that experience and progressing and getting better as a football player and understanding the occasion and rising to the occasion. And I think he most definitely did that in the second half. So I think you're seeing a growth and a learning in Archie Gray. And Richarlison, I mean, the only people that are saying he had a bad game are the people that just watched the highlights and just saw that miss, and that's all they saw, because I thought Richarlison was brilliant when he came on. He was pressing, he was a nuisance in Man City's side, he was beating his man with his dribbling ability. I thought Richarlison, when you compare it to his previous two performances, was night and day. I mean, it was complete night and day to those previous two performances.
I mean, that's what I'm saying about these great minutes, because they're getting these minutes in their legs, in their bodies, they're getting up to... I think we do forget... as us mere mortals, right? That these once you've had a massive injury, and he's been out 4 months, right? Once you've had a big injury, you can't just come straight back in and turn it straight back on. It takes time. Sometimes 10 games. Sometimes. So once he starts hitting his straps again, I think it's going to be good. I mean, I didn't want to distract from your question about, is this the most impressive win under Ange Postecoglou? It's definitely up there, mate. 100% for me. It was very impressive. Everything about yesterday was a joy to behold, to quote you, Ben. A joy to behold, and I absolutely am here for it.
Rick? Boys, I mean, the thing for me is that, look, I think I would rank it as the highest because it was a cup competition. If Spurs go out, I think, not that I want to over-sensationalise or make dramatic headlines, which I'm accused of doing at times, but I think he needed a big result. I mean, to maybe settle some of the rest of natives down. Who are these rest of natives? Who are these people that are questioning him? I don't know who these people are. They must be nothing. Wrong side, Mac. There you go.
Who the hell is questioning Ange Postecoglou? Please tell me.
Pretty important. And you brought up some players there. When Mac said Werner went through them and I was holding something, I thought, what was he holding? I mean, I think Ben was probably holding something he was referring to there. I wonder where the show was going to go at one point. But in regards to Gray, yes, to be honest with you, look, if we're going to be honest about it, football is about moments, about how players are doing. So the reality is, yes, in terms of the goal we conceded, it wasn't great on Gray, but what he did do is respond in that second half ever so well. As a young player, you could go hiding, you could, really find it hard to come back into a game like that. You could be overawed against City. I agree with you, Ben. There were still players on that pitch that for City, there were players there, a number of internationals. These are players that have had Premier League experience. Haaland, to be honest with you, is the only one really as a notable absentee you feel could have come on the pitch and made a significant difference. There were still players on there to hurt Tottenham. And I think what's really important is that Gray responded ever so well in the second half, showed some real maturity. In regards to Richarlison, Ben, yes, he did work hard, but the key thing is as a forward, you are always going to be judged on your output. And I can tell you that if Man City go on to score in that game and knock Tottenham out, this is a very different show, and we're questioning as to why Richarlison is not putting the ball in the back of the net. I do agree with Macca. He's just coming back from injury. He needs time. But in football, you don't get time these days. It is about really performing in the moment. And I think that is the issue we've got now, that for Spurs, if we're going to want to become the team we all want to be, these players have got to really step up, be mature, and take opportunities. I mean, last night, let's be honest about it, guys, this should have been a 4-5-1 game. That might sound crazy, but really, if we take our chances, Werner, bless him, after scoring, gets another couple decent one-on-ones. And we made this, suggestion on our last One on Spurs. I think in with you boys, I think you were asking us last week, if Werner scores a goal, does that change things? I think I said that I feel with Timo, he's on such low confidence that he probably needs to score 3 or 4 like that to get the feeling that he can do it in front of goal. So look, great for Timo to score. Love the feeling with the fans and his interview after the game with Spurs official, where you could see what it meant to the guy. And that's the thing with Werner. I've been saying, I've been really uncomfortable with the element of criticism around Timo Werner from the perspective of that this guy is not giving enough or he's not trying. He's giving everything. He's absolutely committed. He's working hard for the team. This is just a confidence crisis for him. But hopefully, I want to say we're over it, but we've seen misses since then. But fingers crossed, like I say, we are slowly starting to turn around Werner's confidence little by little. And yeah, So excited, boys. I feel like I'm waffling. I don't waffle much, do I?
Listen,
Never.
with Timo Werner, right, after the goal he scored, he goes 1-on-1 with the keeper and he breaks the line of the Man City defence. Did anyone have any confidence that he was going to score that goal?
Even Mac is the biggest optimist, and even he's saying no.
He got a good contact on it at least.
Yeah, he did. I mean, to be fair, you mentioned, Rick, about I'd love Ben and Sim get your views on this. Like Rick, you said there about it could have been a 4-5-1 game. Let's be honest about it, and it could have been. But we've been saying that all season for every single game that we played, apart from the Palace game, Coventry, obviously, and that 20-minute spell against Brighton. Every other game we've played, we're sitting here going, actually, that could have been a 3-1. That could have been a 4. We were unlucky. We should have beaten. We weren't saying that last season. And that's where I can see the biggest progression. Sim, you're a stat man as well. There must be some statistics in there around. I mean, I counted 7 shots on target yesterday, and we only had 3 against Palace. But if we hit 7 on average, 7 shots on target per game, which is what we've been doing, more often than not, we should be winning the football matches. Do you see where I'm coming from, lads? What do you think about that? Because I think we have been 4-5-1 games. I know clearly we lost 3-2 to Brighton. People like, what are you on about, Macca? But the defence has tightened up in the main. The set pieces, you're not cringing too much. You're still a little bit behind your sofa type thing, but you're not as much as before. You were turning the TV off from running down the road when the corner was coming, and now you're not so much. Although he did have a little bit of a flap, didn't he? So, Sim, what do you think?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
So there's a question. What do I think about our performances? Like, how are the underlying stats in our favour? I mean, we've done videos on it. They definitely are. I mean, yesterday, I think the XG yesterday was a bit in Man City's favour, but a lot of it was to do with the shot cleared off the line late on, which obviously Man City should have scored. But if you're looking at this season, in the Premier League so far, like shots on target, we're second in the league. Only Man City have more. Like shots on target against, I think we concede the 4th least. When you look at XG, like in terms of the quality of chances we're creating, we're where is it? XG. Where are we? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong. XG, we're second only to Man City again. So we create the second best. XG against, we're again 4th worst. 4th least conceded. Above the likes of Arsenal, who everyone says they have a great defence. In fact, goals conceded, we've conceded the same amount as Arsenal. Everyone says how open we are and how naive we are. We concede all these chances and it's so easy to score against us. And Arsenal have this really mean defence, yet we're both level on goals conceded right now this season. So
that is what I call pure Arsenal propaganda, man. Pure Arsenal propaganda. That is all you hear from these fans. They are insufferable, man.
I think for me, for sure, I'm happy with the direction we're going. I think the underlying stats are very much in our favour. The away form is where that's let us down, and the away results have not been good enough. We've lost 3: Newcastle, Palace, and Brighton. Obviously, Brighton, we had the game in our hands, chucked it away. Palace, we didn't turn up. Newcastle should have won that game, and one lapse in concentration meant we lost. And we obviously drew to Leicester as well, which should never have happened. So, I think the stats are definitely stronger at home than they are away from home. But I still think the results are not as good as our performances have been away from home. But there's still a concern that we do seem a bit weak. We do seem a bit, I guess for a better word, a bit Spursy away from home, where we're just easy to get at. We're not as aggressive as we are at home. Maybe, I don't know if it's a mentality thing, a confidence thing, when we've got the home crowd behind us and we've got them cheering us on, and we can maintain that intensity a bit more than away from home, where teams come at you a bit more and they're a bit aggressive because they're at home. So I think that's something we'll deal with. But look, we're 9 games in. People act like if we're bad away from home now, that's going to happen throughout the rest of the season. I know if you extrapolate in the last 11 months or so, the away form is worrying, and that's something Ange's got to improve. But if I'm just isolating this season and last season, I definitely think away performances, if anything, have definitely improved.
It's where you draw that line, isn't it, Sim? Go on, Mac. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, just I mean, it's fascinating to hear that, and I think that it is there. The other key thing about the away form, you bring up a good point. I'm just wondering, when you look at that performance yesterday, obviously we were at home, but we were against the great City. Of course, you look at some of the underlying numbers. 80 accurate passes for theirs was 90%. I think they had 600 odd passes. We only had like 300. But so they had so much more of the ball. I think it was 60.
Yeah, we won in a different way yesterday.
What I'm trying to, I suppose, say is we were almost playing like the away team, and maybe we learn that when we're actually away. I think it was quite obvious that we dropped probably 10 yards, maybe even 15 yards deeper than what we normally do. And I thought it was quite interesting as well, listening to Decky talk in his one of his post-match interviews, when he talked about what the manager said at half time is don't drop any deeper, push up further and do some pressing. But actually that kind of 10 yards or so probably helped us a little bit in terms of that defensive, I don't know, solidity. I want to say that because we got that label now, haven't we? Where we're just, I was with Jason last night, one of our own from last from Spurs, and he was saying once you've got a label, it's very difficult to shake it. And that label is the high line, it's a nightmare. But we wasn't high line FC yesterday, was we? Do you know what I mean? I suppose, and that's the point. We have tweaked stuff this year. We have changed stuff. He has made some adaptations, and they seem to be putting us in the right direction.
Yeah, but I don't think we get enough credit as well yesterday. We ended the game, majority of the second half, with a back four of Dragoshin, Davis, Gray, and Udogie. Like, that's not exactly a back four you would like to trust in a game going in against a top side like Man City, regardless of what players.
What you're saying, it was actually a Tottenham C team and not a Man City C team. We did a comparison to the 11s of the weekend. I think we made 5 changes and Man City made 6. It's not like we had our complete first 11 out there and whatnot. I don't know whether that's a testament to the improvement in our squad or whatnot, that we can make that many changes and people still call it our first team. But I think I don't think we get enough credit for that. We also heavily rotated. Maddison didn't get on the pitch yesterday. Yeah. We still had Sod out, who obviously hasn't played. I mean, obviously Odebear's still a youngster, but he wasn't involved at all yesterday. Sarr doesn't exactly start every game, albeit he's a great player. Bentancur was on the bench on the weekend for Basuma. So, Gray, obviously Porro didn't play. Archie Gray played 90 minutes, who's an 18-year-old kid, by the way. So, we also made a lot of changes, and we also played, a team that was a bit of mix and match, and yet we deserved the victory, much the better team. So I think that deserves a lot more credit than it's getting. Yeah, it's a great testament. Go on, Rick. I
was worried at one point over Vicario was trying to voluntarily leave the pitch towards the end there, decided to get Fraser Forster in place of him. I don't know where he was going at that point.
Yeah, I've watched that 10 times. I still don't know what he's doing.
I could definitely tell Baka was definitely on the beers last night and was out late, because I saw him put up a post at 1:40 in the morning going, Vicario, he's my number one. And I thought, what are you doing, son? Go to bed.
Bissouma saved his blushes big time last night.
He's the number one. It's not just on that game.
Have you seen that last night?
He's putting his finger up, giving it number one. Of course he's the number one.
I thought, when he seen that, I said, he must get on these chicken wings. What are they doing to him? I thought, what's he doing? At the end there, Vicario, where is he going? I mean, to be fair to Biss, that's a great moment for Bissouma. I've got to say, isn't it amazing? Now, sometimes Bissouma's been criticised for a lack of concentration and a lack of composure. If he doesn't put that leg out in the final minute, we're going to penalties. And can you imagine that feeling going to pens? With no disrespect, with the remaining players out on that pitch and the mood change that would have been in that stadium to concede like that. So credit to Bissouma, because you know what? He really, really did step up there in that final minute. And he did save Vicario's blushes. What made me laugh is Vicario was coming back towards the goal and he thought, I probably can't bollock anyone for this, because it was actually where's Vicario going?
He was giving it to a number of players last night, Vicario, wasn't he?
I made me laugh at the end. I'm thinking, he can't really bollock anyone for this. He decided to leave the goal line voluntarily. I do not know where he was headed. I thought he was going to the East Stand at one point, boys. I've got to be honest with you. But we got the result. Main thing.
Sim, was it the best under Ange for you?
I think in the context surrounding the fact that we all very much value cup competitions, it is still a very good Man City side. Whatever anyone wants to say, only really O'Reilly is a proper youngster. Even McAtee, he's like 22. He's not exactly a teenager who's got Premier League experience. So the rest of the team was still pretty strong. I know they didn't have Haaland, but this is a team that's won leagues playing a false nine before, let alone games. So I don't think like just because they didn't have Haaland means that they're easily beatable all of a sudden. So I think for me, the way we played, the way we deserved the victory, also the adversity we had to go through in game, injuries to Van der Ven, Romero going off early in the second half, to put in the performance that we did, I think we can be very, very proud. And I think for sure, I think it's probably the best win. I think it's probably the best team we've beaten in terms of the context of everything. I know we won 3-0 at Old Trafford, but that was a Ten Hag team on his last legs. Obviously, we beat Villa last season at Villa Park 4-0. That was a great win, but obviously, I guess they were down to 10 men for quite a bit of the game, but obviously we did win 4-0. We beat Liverpool, but that was with 9 men. So I think when it comes to all the big wins that we've had under Ange, we actually haven't had too many wins against top teams, to be honest. But I think when it comes to it, I think that probably was the best one. And I think that was the most enjoyable one. And I think we also showed a different side of ourselves, a side that we are able to sit in deep. We are able to fight for the right to play our football. And but for all the sitting we did, what I loved about yesterday is like when you see other teams, sometimes they sit in deep and they're just defending for their lives. But then the reason why they get caught, the reason why people don't like it is because they don't offer a threat going the other way. They don't do anything. Yet whenever we got the ball, we were getting in behind City. We were offering that. We were creating chances. So we weren't just sitting deep just to defend. We were sitting deep with a purpose that when we get the ball, we knew what we were doing with it. And if anyone was going to score another goal, it was probably going to be Spurs with the chances we had.
That point there about playing the football and sitting deep. When we scored, when Werner put it back in there, what was it on 5 minutes? I swear to you, I don't know who they are because crowd changes, done it for different cup games and whatever in my seat. So to the right of me, diagonally behind me, all I heard was this woman going, "Clear it, boot it, get it out!" I swear they were going mad, right? Yeah. And this was like on minute 3. This is when we're passing.
That's what AI robot model female version, I think.
Obviously they don't. They get it out. It's a brilliant, well worked move. Excuse me, get it all the way out. Obviously, Brennan Johnson back heel, Kulusevski, phenomenal balling with his right foot, by the way, not his left foot. And Werner finishes, excuse me, like he should do. I think I've got the cough. And I turned to my mate Coles and just said, we're going mad, everyone's going mad, whatever. When it all calmed down, I said, can you imagine if the players took that lady's advice and booted it, we don't score that goal. And this is what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's not the way we are, mate. This is how you play football. Like this is how you do it. It's not boot it out, because if they do, they did go a bit more direct later on in the game. They did. I think I heard a stat on the show last night, Rick. That was it. 5 out of 7. I might have been your show earlier, Sim and Ben. I don't know, but 5 out of 7 long balls or something like that Vicario did. So he wasn't. Yeah,
Vicario 7 out of his 12 long passes were completed.
7 out of 12. But it just made me laugh. I'm thinking we're 3 minutes in this game, and all of a sudden people are actually properly having a go. Clear it, boot it out. I'm thinking, is this the first time we've watched Spurs? Because they do not do that. And obviously, if we did do that, we'd have never scored that goal, and that's what makes you laugh, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I love a lot about how Ange, I guess, drills into them and how they are like in and around the penalty box. If you notice, a lot of the time when we do win the ball, like on the edge of the box or something, where other teams maybe would boot out, people like Bentancur and Basuma, and I guess Gray's also in there. Like they got very calm heads. They'll try and play out even in very difficult situations, and even if they do clear it, they'll try and clear it in the direction of a player who's in the front line, like a Solanke or where like Brennan Johnson was on the right wing. So obviously sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't, but they're very aware of where everyone is on the pitch, and they don't just, a lot of the time, they don't just clear it just safety first. They never do that. They always look for a way to get out first, and that's what I really appreciate about, even when we're defending deep like we were yesterday, it wasn't just defend just so we can keep them out, but defend properly so when we get the ball, bam, we can hit them.
Boys, you know what? Those celebrations from the bench, I don't know if you've seen it via Korean TV. of when Werner scores. I don't think I've ever seen a collective bench look so elated just for one player. It was actually lovely to see, and it kind of does breed the fact, going back to the right calls, what I say, is a little family there. You know, people forget that is a family. So when one player is being dug out like that, that doesn't affect one person. It doesn't affect one coaching staff. That affects a whole group. And what they all do in terms of the confidence. I think when you saw Werner score, I think every Spurs player went over to him, bar Bakary, who's in goal. They acknowledged that in that moment, that meant so much to him. It was just so lovely to see that from the bench and the way that was constructed. I mean, funny thing with Ange is he gets accused of obviously not being very much animated on the bench. Even he gave a fist pump, you know, which is quite a big thing for Ange with a fist pump. Because, you know, again, he's accused of just being one of those that just stands there like that and folds his arms. But I think we all recognised how big that goal was for Werner. Obviously, we knew what was to come after that, but I mean, look, it set us on our way. The crowd, can I just say one thing? The crowd were absolutely magnificent. They were, last night, you know, these games under the lights, McAnair, bless his heart, and the boys, of course, as well. But there's something about, you know, disrespect, the night games at under the lights. You know, you boys will remember, of course, White Hart Lane under the lights. There's something very special about playing under the lights and really getting amongst the teams. And to be fair, those atmospheres like that, I go back to, obviously, the 3-0 under Arsenal with 3-0 against Arsenal with Conte in charge. There was moments that you can look at and you just think these are really special moments. And I think what we all hoped for was probably a home draw. Listen, I'd be interested to get your boys' thoughts on it about, obviously, United to come in the next round, because I think as long as you said to me you're going to be at home, I do fancy our chances. And that's, again, going back to the away from that we've touched upon. Don't want to bring a negative spin on the show, but ultimately we should, at home, back ourselves, because the crowd are magnificent and they are that 12th man. I mean, Ange did it last season, that they actually, you know, at times physically push the ball into the opposition's net. That's how powerful that home crowd are. And we have to make the most of it. We really, really do. So, you know, just 10 out of 10s all round. Crowd, you know, players, manager, coaching staff. When you get it right, you have to know you got it right. And, you know, everybody to a T done their job last night. So full credit to everybody. Like Lee said at the start of the show, if you cannot be happy on the back of that, I don't care if you're playing Man City's little team. I don't really care if it's the little version of Man City. We beat Man City. Just enjoy it. God, enjoy it. Otherwise, what's the point?
100%. And back to what you're saying about Timo Werner, I think it was very similar when Brennan Johnson also scored, I think, against Coventry, and the next game, you know, there was all that family feel. But what I really thought there were similarities to last night when Werner scored and the crowd reaction was when Soldado got that first goal after such a long time of not scoring. I think he dropped to his knees and just celebrated and had that similar vibe to it. But I guess there's actually a comment here for you for Spurs Kings TV. I don't know if it's Marlon or Ash, but he says, "Stop confusing me. Ricky should always be on the left like Sim. Swap him and Lee over right now."
Yeah, bless the boys. Yeah,
big up Spurs Kings TV, big top boys.
I'm used to always being right, boys, so I don't really mind being on the right. I'm used to always being right. So, yeah,
we got a super chat as well from Samuel Lynch saying, "I'm 19 and Archie Gray is younger than me. What a player." But look, I want to go back on what Rick was saying about the Man United game, and if we think Spurs can go all the way. You're looking at the draw. It's Tottenham, Man United, which is obviously the tie of the round. Arsenal, Palace, Newcastle, Brentford, Southampton, Liverpool.
Rigged.
I mean, it's a tough tie for Arsenal, I think, because Palace are like turning the corner a bit now, and Arsenal are not going to play their first choice. And I think Palace will probably go full strength in that game. So I think that's a potential banana skin. Newcastle, Brentford, I think on any given day, anyone can win that tie.
St. James's.
At St. James's. They're obviously going to be favourites. Liverpool, Southampton, that's probably the easiest tie of the round. But Spurs, Man United, what are we thinking, guys? Macca, you think at home? I said just any tie at home. I don't care who we get. Just give us a home tie.
Yeah, same. Look, at the end of the day, League Cup, Carabao Cup, Milk Cup, fucking Rumbelows Cup, whatever you want to call it, right? The reality of the situation is this is the first time since 2009 that there's been 8 Premier League teams left in the quarterfinals.
Is that right? Wow.
Yeah, and also you need to know, you need to also know that, you know, the Premier League, is tough. It's the hardest league in the world. So
we got to the final that year as well, didn't we?
Was that? Yeah,
we got to the final that year.
2009.
Ironically, 0-0 against Man United, and we lost on penalties.
That was that Ben Foster final that Yeah.
That couldn't have been that one because we played Burnley. Oh, were Burnley in the Premier League then? Maybe they were because we played Burnley in the semis that year.
Yeah, with Pavlyuchenko. Yeah.
Pav, go on, Pav, super Pav. So yeah, I mean, it is going to be tough, but like I agree with Ricky, I agree with you, Ben. You know, any home tie, that's what you want in the cups. We were so unlucky last time. Last year we got Fulham or whatever. We're not picking up any points, you know, on our season tickets. So I'm going to the games. There's no Europe. I'm getting no points on my season tickets to get away games. Now I'm getting all these home draws. I'm getting points every time I go. I'm getting 4 points for Europa, 5 points for these games. That's great stuff, right?
Clocking them up, Macca. Clocking them up.
Clocking them up, man. I'm going to
I think if you call it, Macca will be in the stadium. Macca will be on South down to himself or Elsport.
That's it. Yeah. But obviously, if I don't clock the points up, it's okay because I'm on the payroll with Levy. So
you'll be all right.
Yeah, but no, I think a home draw is what you can answer for. I mean, I think there's a couple of things with Man United. It's an interesting one. I mean, they played brilliantly yesterday. Bowler Counts scored loads of goals. They absolutely ruined Leicester.
Leicester B team, mate. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Leicester B team. But I think there's Ruud van Nistelrooy still got 3 games, I think, in charge before Amram comes, if he even does.
He will.
Which I'm sure he will, but you know, and he'll be the new manager bounce or whatever. But we're on a home turf. We've already turned them over 3-0, and there's nothing to be worried or scared about. I don't think with United yet. I'm sure I like that Amram. I think he's going to be a good manager for them, but doesn't mean to say that you know they rock up and beat us. But it's cup football, so we don't know where we're going to be, how it's sandwiched between. I think it's on the 17th of December, is it? So 3 days or 4 days later, we've got Liverpool at home.
I think we may have Liverpool
in the league. So this is the thing. I think it's very difficult to prioritise stuff. But as fans, you want to look at that and go, well, actually, if we turn Man United over in the Carabao Cup and it meant that we couldn't get over the line against Liverpool in the league, and then we're still sitting there 9th, but we're now in the semi-final. I mean, it doesn't have to be one or the other, but if that is the case, would we be happy? Like, are you happier today knowing that we're in the next round of the Carabao Cup and just beat City rather than getting 3 points against Palace? Now, I know we want both, but actually, we're probably, if we're honest, the whole season's still ahead of us, right? You can claw them points back to get your top 3 finish that I predicted or top 5 finish or whatever. But once you're out of the cup, you're out, right? So actually, that where it becomes thing. I think our home draw against any of them is, you know, that's great. I mean, away at Anfield would have been a nightmare. Away at Newcastle, they've been ruining us, and away at Old Trafford, you might go, okay, that's fair enough. Away at Arsenal would have been an absolute shit show. So
any away game then?
Isn't the semi-final 2 legs still? Is the semi-final?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So actually, you know, we've got probably the best start. I mean, if we'd have got Southampton at home and not gone through, then what? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
Southampton away. We never got a result.
We're definitely going to win, and we didn't go. We lost in the semi-final then years ago. So yeah, I'm really happy with the bench. I agree with both you and Mickey. I think home draw is the way forward.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Tim? We're going all the way?
Why not? We've got no one to fit. We just beat Man City, so why should we fear anyone at the moment? Especially if we can beat Man United, then as Macca says, it's 2 legs. We're guaranteed another home tie, regardless of what happens if we beat Man United. A final's always obviously it's a one-off game. I mean, imagine the prospect of playing someone like Arsenal in a final.
Would you prefer to get them over 2 legs or in a one-off in a final?
Well, Arsenal,
2 legs.
I think 2 legs.
2 legs.
Get into our stadium and get them over 2 legs. I'd love that for sure. I think the nerves of a final would be too much for me. I don't know if I can handle that.
Can you imagine that final against Arsenal? That would be the worst thing ever.
The way I thought it was Arsenal,
we're getting ahead of ourselves, obviously. But, do you know what I'd love? Man United, just quick. Man United, right, at home, obviously, we beat them. And then in the semi-final, we get Arsenal home and away. Obviously the legs. So I think we're a match for most teams, if not all teams, in a 2-legged tie. So I think we get Arsenal, and then in the final we get Liverpool. Right. to right the wrong of the Champions League final. That would be perfect.
And then they get a handball given against them in the first minute.
And then we finish, after all those clubs we've beaten, then we finished 12th in the league.
I'm sorry, Macca. I love the idea of it, but to say a Carabao Cup is going to be righting the wrongs of a Champions League final?
Come on, you know what I mean.
Come on now.
We might not get back to the Champions League final for at least 2 seasons. I'm going 2 seasons, lads.
Do you know what when you think about it? If we actually, like I say, on this journey that Macca's talking about, we've done Man City, we do Arsenal over a semi-final, and then and Man United in the quarterfinals, and then we beat Liverpool in a final, and then we finish mid-table. I mean, that would be so Spurs that you've beaten all those teams, and yet from a league perspective, we don't do the job. I mean, that's the thing I'm really intrigued about with certain fans. I think with the older generation, which probably I fall myself into now, that category, I think I'm so desperate to see a cup, boys, that I would quite happily sacrifice league position because I just want to win something. I just want to sort of be given at Wembley on that day. Can you just imagine that feeling us all together, seeing our club finally win something? It's taken so long to get this trophy stigma off our back. I mean, that's what I would personally sacrifice. Not everybody's.
How low do you go, Rick? How low do you go?
Oh, here you go. But the younger generation, with no disrespect, the younger generation want to be in the Champions League, hear the Champions League music, but I just think we've come to a point with Tottenham, with no disrespect, and I don't want the show to be on a downer. I think we know publicly Spurs are crying out for investment. They're telling us we need investment, right? So the reality is that I don't think we're going to see a massive difference in terms of real enhancement in the first team until there's a change in terms of the investment coming into the football club. So that's why, in my opinion and my feeling, I want to see Spurs go all out for the cup competitions, because I just don't feel we're quite there yet in a league perspective. We're still learning under Ange. It's a very, very young squad. And you boys heard it all those years ago from ex-players, you know, before the Champions League final. Winning breeds winning. And they all said it. When you get that first trophy over the line, it gives you the confidence you can do it again and again and again. And because it's taken so long, this club has not got any sense of a winning culture inside of it, that we need to get that back inside the club. So players actually feel when they're signing for Tottenham, we can win here. And that is what is severely lacking. And that's why, for me, I want to see us really take the cup competition seriously. Doing really well in the League Cup. Don't let that, diminish what the FA Cup will be when it comes around. And like I said, we've made a really strong start to the Europa League. So just my personal opinion, everybody's got their own out there in terms of their preference over cup and league position. I really want to see Spurs approach this season with a real focus and integrity on the cups, which is why I was so happy last night, by the way, Ange took the competition so seriously. Because as soon as that lineup come up, boys, we all knew we're serious about this. We're not messing around.
100%. Yeah, I don't think anyone could complain about his team selection yesterday. I think he picked a really strong side. If I'm just giving a bit of context to the quarterfinal against United and the fixtures surrounding that date. So the weekend before the quarterfinal, we play Southampton away, and Man United are away to Man City in the Manchester Derby. Then we got obviously the quarterfinal, and then the weekend after that, we are at home to Liverpool, and Man United are at home to Bournemouth. So some interesting fixtures surrounding that game. I wonder, if obviously are United playing Man City that's going to be a very taxing game for them potentially. Do they come into the Spurs game with some injuries, or maybe do they have to rest players after that game? It's going to be interesting.
I think they'll definitely coming into it with a bit of fatigue, because that Man City game is going to take a lot out of them. So I'd rather have the harder game afterwards than before, to be honest, because look, away to Liverpool. Is it away or at home to Liverpool? Either way, I mean, we rarely get a result off Liverpool year in, year out. I know we just about got over the line last year, but we were very lucky to do so in that game. The offside goal and everything that should have been given. But if you could ask me right now, would I take the win over Man United or Liverpool? I'd take the win over Man United 10 times out of 10. So I'd rather have that easier game before, so we can get, I wouldn't say rest, because there's never a rest in a 90-minute period in the Premier League, but it's going to take more out of you playing Man City away than it will Southampton away.
But what's interesting about that, and it's brilliant context, and actually just coming back on the point that Rick just made, I think Spurs, Tottenham Hotspur are different to Manchester United in the sense of, winning things, winning mentality, winning culture. I mean, Manchester United have just shown their cards. They've just literally said, winning a trophy don't mean shit to us. We want the big money. wins, right? That's what they've literally just said, because they've just sacked Ten Hag, who's just won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons. So when you look at that and you think, well, hang on, how serious are they going to take the Carabao Cup? Because they're not bothered about it. Because if they were, then they would have a different outcome with Ten Hag. Because the problem with Ten Hag is they haven't got an identity of football, and they're rubbish in the league, and that's what's driving them. They want to be up that league table. So when you take that context into the scenario of they're playing Man City, they don't want to get ruined by Man City in the league, then they're coming to that game against Spurs in the Carabao Cup where we really want it, and they're not that fussed. You can see with the City fans last night when they're singing "Free From Desire" at the end with us, they've just lost their. They think they ain't bothered. Right? We said this in the concourse. We were like, "Come on, they're not that bothered, are they? They're not bothered about a League Cup. They've got enough of them." And I suppose my point being is that sometimes in football, with all the analysis, with all the data, I love it all, but sometimes in football, it comes down to, do you really want it? Like, do you really want it? And I just wanted to bring up, I don't want to go off too much off piece, Ben, so forgive me, but I just wanted to bring up Decky's comments, because I think Decky has been, he's been our player of the season so far. It was absolutely majestic yesterday. Another 2 assists, absolutely brilliant. But one of the things, and again, I don't want to be controversial. You know what I'm like. I'm always Mr. Optimistic. But I've got a slight concern with some of the comments that Decky made post-match yesterday. So, and I'm totally paraphrasing, but he was interviewed in what they call the bullpen or whatever, wasn't he, by various different journalists. And he was asked about, what does it mean to you to win? And he said, everybody that knows me closely, they know it's personal when I play City. Okay, why? Well, as an example, like, I'm a fan. I'm thinking, why is that? He actually said something. I'm paraphrasing. He said something along the lines of, "I've been planning this for weeks. I knew that I would have a really good game." And I thought that was quite strange to say that. I'm thinking, what? So you weren't planning for Palace? Like, you thought you weren't going to have a good game against Palace? Now, he did go later on in his interview by talking about every game as it comes, we've got to prepare the same way, and so on and so forth. But that seemed to me like that's just footballers talking interviews. But what was authentic was, I really wanted to give it extra for this particular game. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you give it extra for every single game? See what I mean? I don't want to pick up something that isn't there. It's just how maybe I've interpreted it.
Well, he said it was personal for him, didn't he? That game. Yeah, he said this game's personal.
Exactly that. Why? What's gone on? Like, has he been? I mean, I don't know anything about it. Maybe I'm like not with the program. But did City try and sign him or didn't sign him? As Pep said that he weren't good enough, and now I think he's played 7 times against City. He scored 3 goals, and now he's got 4 assists. I mean, his record is, like, I put it out there, Decky the Destroyer for City. I mean, he's been sublime for them. So, and he has scored a lot of goals. I think that when Kane had that masterclass, didn't he? He kind of stepped it up. Now, I'm not having to go up players for stepping it up. I suppose where I'm coming from, where Ange has been coming from as well. So, hang on, why are you stepping up for certain games? This is what Ange is trying to say. It's like, why are you going to give it an extra 10% because it's Arsenal? Why aren't you giving an extra 10% because we're playing Palace away? Does that make sense? So I think he's been sensational, and I really like him. Do you know what I really like?
I think you're probably watching the same interview that I watched. It was the one when he's in the tunnel, he's talking to a reporter, I think.
He's in the pen, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And what was interesting is what he said about because he was asked about the Palace game in that, and he was saying that about the Palace game. Sometimes in these games we have to do things differently, and I want to talk to the players about that. And he said, he was got asked a follow up. Oh, so have you spoken, to the players about that game and what you want to do differently? He goes, not yet, because we're fully focused on this game. But he's like, when I get a chance, I'm definitely going to have my say about that game. So that was quite interesting. I thought he said, like, he was bringing up, like, hopefully they can have a clear the air really about that game, and they can really sort out those issues.
Can I say one thing, though, boys? I mean, after the game, Pep was actually asked about Kulusevski. And I think it was Tom Barkley that asked him about him. He said, Decky always seems to be a bit of thorn in your side. What would you say in comparison to Kevin De Bruyne? And he was very quick to shut that down. Pep was like, there's only one Kevin De Bruyne. Just to be very, very clear. As much as I think he admires Decky as a footballer, he had none of it in terms of analogy comparing Decky's current form, may I just add, with Kevin De Bruyne. I'm not suggesting that he is in the like for like. But in terms of current form, he asked him, "Is he like De Bruyne?" He went, "No, absolutely not." Kevin does special.
But he also was asked, "What do you like about Kulusevski?" He said everything.
Yes, he did say that. Yeah, but
and let's be real, Rick. Even Kulusevski at his best form can't touch Kevin De Bruyne's best form. So we're talking about Kevin De Bruyne here.
Yeah. I mean, look,
Pep said that before, isn't it, about Kulusevski? To be fair, when he first started,
Kulusevski, wow.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Decky's talking about. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys are aware of why it should be personal. If they tried to sign him in the past and didn't sign him, or something.
I don't know if he's in. I don't know if he's saying like. I don't know if he's trying to say I just love playing against the top teams kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like that's what he's trying to get. Not Man City itself, but obviously Man City are a top team. But I don't know if he's trying to say like. I want to prove myself against the best teams. I just love playing against them. But I don't know if he's trying to say I take it more seriously, or he's just trying to say that I really like those games because that's where I really test myself.
That's what worried me. That's what worried me.
I understand. It was a bit strange.
Alice, you know what I mean? Like you're getting up against. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's a bit unfair, on Decky because I know he said what he said, but when you're looking at his form throughout the whole course of the season. Apart from that Crystal Palace game, he's been bang at it every single game and had great motivation in every single game, been our best player in the majority of games. So, I mean, it's hard to put a motivation issue across to him when he's had one poor game across the whole of the season so far.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point, mate.
Yeah. I want to talk to you guys about Pape Sarr. What a goal last night, first of all. Where the hell that... It bent around their whole defence. Looks like it was going wide, then just nestled into the bottom corner. And I want to talk about the goal, but I also want to talk about his spot in the team now and maybe James Maddison's spot in the team, because for me, I feel like Pape Sarr should be ahead of James Maddison. I think he gives more balance to that midfield. I think he gives us more bite in the midfield, more defensive now, and now he's contributing with the goal contributions as well. Maybe, obviously, James Maddison is a better attacking player than Pape Sarr, but I think the way Pape is playing at the moment, I think it's really hard to ignore him. I'll start with you, Rick.
I think it's just based on who we're playing, if I'm going to be honest with you, Ben. I think what Pape does offer, and you've said it before, is, he's got, it's going to go down really well. Can I just say before I say this, I'm a married man, right? Okay. He's got unbelievable legs. And what I mean by that is the way he gets around the pitch. There's very few players that can actually glide so elegantly across the pitch in the way he does it. And you know what? The guy can finish. I think a third, fourth goal already. He loves the cups for Spurs this season. I think what we saw last season was that he really did explode onto the scene. And for me, I've never questioned his ability. It's been consistency being the thing about can we keep that consistency with Pape? And I think, look, he found it very hard at the beginning of this season because he was away, of course, on international duty. That's always difficult for a player. I always think, do you know what? Sometimes the second season fully in a Premier League campaign for a player can actually be harder to adjust than the first season in a bizarre way. That might sound crazy for some to hear that, but it really can affect the player. But I think Sarr's got an unbelievable future ahead of us. The biggest frustration I actually had with the goal last night is that there was some trying to claim it was an Ortega mistake, but I just thought it was an unbelievable placed finish that was beautifully executed to perfection. And what's clear actually that Lil love about this when I say this, they've been working on that. Because the move and the way it was executed shows you that is not just a one-off. That has been done on the training ground. Credit to Ryan Mace. I think Ryan does do the attacking set pieces as well. And I think it was done so constructively well. Beautiful finish. And I think Sarr's got a big, big future at the club. And I think it is a case, Ben, for me, it's about depending on the games that we're playing rather than being a first-team starter. I do think, though, to your point, I don't want to take away from it. We might come on to it in a second. I think James Maddison's place is really under threat now because you can't say we really missed him last night. And I think Kulu really, his rise now in that central position will be putting Madders' nose out of joint. But again, look, it's a squad game. You're going to need all your players. We know Maddison's got the ability. Again, it's that word consistency that's so crucial in football.
So who starts for you in the middle two? Obviously, one of Bentancur, Bissouma in the six. Who start and Decky? Who starts alongside him? Who takes that spot against Villa?
I mean, for me, I probably would say based on where we're at the moment, I don't think Kulu's just been undroppable. Kulu, Bentancur, Sarr.
Yeah, same for me, I think.
I can't see at the moment.
but Macca, forget bend it like Beckham, bend it like Pape. What was that all about last night?
It was absolute. I mean, we were obviously all of us, but we were out of our seats. We were like, "Whoa, did that just happen?" It had it's slightly different, but it had vibes of Anderton to Sheringham corner routine back in the day when he always scored the near post.
One for the youngsters, that one, Macca.
Yeah, one for the youngsters. Exactly. But no, really good. I mean, I agree. I think he's putting out a goal and an assist, isn't he? Every other game now. Like
I'm glad you brought that up. I can give you the exact numbers. In his last 334 minutes, he's got 5 goals and assists. That's a goal and assist every 66 minutes.
There you go, Tim. That's what I'm talking about right there. So I think you got a right shout there but I do agree. I do agree with you, Rick. I think it's depending on the game, depending on the opposition. But it's quite interesting to see that we could have done with Sarr. Sarr's legs, as Ricky, you've been eyeing up his legs. Sarr's legs. And we've got Christina, one of our own, on Last One on Spurs pod. She loves a bit of Jack Grealish's legs. I'm not sure. We've got Ricky loving Sarr's legs, and Christina's loving Jack Grealish's legs. And what's going on? Where are we going? So I just think that he offers something different. I think what's quite interesting as well, when Maddison got hooked, let's use the word hooked because it's more sensational, isn't it? He got hooked at half time. He created 5 chances in that first half, didn't he? So it's not as even if Maddison's been playing bad either. I mean, everyone was a total tip against Palace, but he's not actually been playing bad either. I thought he had a good game when he captain deciding in Europe as well. So I think it's a good problem to have, isn't it? We've been is going, oh my God, don't put on Højbjerg, or don't do this, or oh my days, we ain't got this. Now we've got Bentancur and Basuma that can seamlessly just rotate, and we're not even worried. We've got Sarr, Maddison, Kulusevski. We can rotate. We're not that fast. That's a really good problem to have. Do you know what I mean? And be able to. I think I agree. Deki is undroppable, but he also offers you that ability to, even if you do start him in the middle, you can put him wide later on in the game if need be. So there's that element of, I'm not saying his utility, but he can do that. Does that make sense? So very, very attractive, ripping up the stats books. But Sarr, mate, he's starting for me against Villa 100% because I think he's the boy. The boy's on fire.
Can I say one thing, boys? To squeeze if you don't mind.
Sorry, Rick. Just go on age. He's people. Kulu, right? The Deki. He looks like a freaking ox, doesn't he? He's only 24. He's only just turned 24. Yeah. And Pat Matasai's only just turned 22.
I know, it's crazy.
When I say this, and please don't vilify me, we are Tottenham TV, beautiful fans out there, viewers and listeners, that I'm not saying when I say this I don't want signings, okay, just to be clear, but there's not that significant drop-off like there has been in previous seasons, as Macca touches upon there about the squad. Last night you've got the likes of Dragishin coming in there, for example, as a player that you don't feel as worried as what you did, with no disrespect, when Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez were coming in at centre-back. There's that confidence that we're not as, dropping a significant level with that. Again, even like with the options we've got out wide. So I think, the only thing that does concern me at the moment, and we don't know Mickey's extent of his injury with his hamstring. We're going to be honest and say it doesn't look good. Let's not kid around the bush. It doesn't look good. He, at the end, was very much, I think, looked very disappointed at the end. He was clapping the fans, but you could see...
He blew himself. I mean, have you seen that?
I've seen it. I don't think it's... everyone's saying that. I think it's just a bit of dirt that fell out of his shorts.
It was like having a little touch and a scratch or whatever, and all of a sudden this thing comes out, you're thinking, hey, mate, you just have a turnout.
It's the opening, the dog shit on the pitch. Come on.
He shits when he wants. He shits when he wants. He shits when he wants.
If it turns out that was a shit and he hasn't got an injury, I'll be delighted. I couldn't really care less for him. I'd say that all day long. He's done he's done that and it's not an injury. But I think the concern is that my only worry with the aspect of Mickey is that I read a stat yesterday. I think that's the 4th time already at Tottenham in which he's pulled up from a hamstring issue. That's a big, big concern because he is absolutely fundamental to the way that Spurs want to play. So my only worry with that is just in terms of long term, if this is the way we're going to be playing under Ange, we are going to have to go out and, in my opinion, identify somebody. I'm not saying you're going to get a clone of Mickey van der Ven or a player in that, calibre, but you are, I think, going to have to find somebody that plays a similar role to Mickey that allows you to be able to continue playing your way, because we can't afford a situation where, now we've seen it again. We're at a similar point of last season when Mickey done that big hamstring issue. If you remember now, we're 10, 11 games in. That's a concern about the left centre.
It's identical time, isn't it? It's virtual. I said that to Cole.
Yeah, 10 games in, so 9 games in.
That's what I mean. That position is so crucial and fundamental to the way Spurs want to play that's my only concern. They are going to have to, I think, Spurs identify another profile of centre-back that they can hopefully nurture, and it might be Vuskovic. Ben, I know you're absolutely raving over every time you do your loan roundups on him. That's the only thing I'm worried about with Mickey. Love him as a defender, but the problem is when we do play such a high line, and at times, these defenders having to cover the width for the 6-yard box, those hamstrings are going to go at times, and that was last night fairly innocuous. So let's hope it's nothing too serious.
Yeah, did you see though? Like he had a slight tug on his hamstring before the game even started, as they were coming out before the game, and I'm like, if he was feeling something before the game, like how the hell is he on that pitch to start the game? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe he didn't say anything, right? This is the thing, like we can point fingers or whatever, but maybe he thought, I'll be all right, I'll just run it off. But maybe it was Florian Mania, old Radu's agent. Maybe he's come out and started to put some stuff in Mickey's hamstring, so is playing.
Gave him a little dead leg before the game, a little knee to the thigh.
And he don't sensationalise, boys, eh? He don't sensationalise.
Oh, do you think we can handle it though? Because I don't think he's going to be out for too long. I think if you believe the rumours, they're saying between a week to 4 weeks or something for Mickey van der Ven. And if it is 4 weeks, that means he's back for the Man City away game, which means he misses the league games of Aston Villa and Ipswich with an international break after that. So it's not exactly the worst thing in the world, is it?
No, it might help. It might just change that high line slightly. I know Ricky loves the high line derby between Villa and Spurs, as he nicknamed it. But it may just change that high line a little bit, mightn't it? Because like I said earlier in the show, we definitely dropped 10 yards, maybe even 15 yards off yesterday, and we might end up doing a similar sort of thing. Because let's be fair about Villa, they've got some massive pace in attack. And I was working actually last year. I didn't actually go to the game, which was a weird one for me. But we absolutely battered them, didn't we?
Part-timer, Mackie, you part-timer.
I mean, you couldn't not make the stuff up. We owe them for that as well. I know we got revenge at their place, but we do need to go and turn them over. And again, the league table, we're talking about the league table, so early doors, but I keep saying in my head, I do look at league table all the time. I'm a nightmare. I get it out and I think, what can that? I'm a nightmare. I do. And I'm thinking, you look at the Brighton game, you look at the Palace game, whatever, and you think, Jesus, man, we're second in the league. Do you know what I mean? We, that sort of thing. And I know you can't think like that, but you go and turn over Villa at the weekend. That's obviously a 6-pointer. So all of a sudden, they're running away with the top 4 and whatever, and all of a sudden we're 2 points behind them, and we've had a shocker. We've drew to Leicester, and we've lost to Newcastle, and Arsenal have done us, and we've been crap, and we're 2 points behind the best Villa team in the world ever.
I just want to say though, on Villa, I think it's really important we make this point. And look, to be fair, I said it on our show in the week. I've won for me the biggest game in a week. I can't sit here and lie and say to you that Man City wasn't the biggest game of my week personally. Every fan will have their differences of opinions on that, but I do want to put some context to the fact that Villa are coming off the back of a damaging defeat for their fans, going out the back of the Carabao Cup. This is the same. It makes me laugh. This trophy stigma around Tottenham. Villa haven't won a trophy before us.
96.
Yeah.
96.
So, I mean, like I say, Villa, to be fair...
Never mind a trophy. They were in the bloody Championship a few years ago, Aston Villa, and now they're finishing higher than us.
I think it's really important. They're unbeaten away from home, I think, nearly for 2 months. So this is not going to be an easy game for Tottenham. And you add on to it, we've got the situation around Van der Ven. Werner come off with a slight, it looked like that, again, hamstring issue. Romero wasn't risked due to fatigue. So I think what we have to bear in mind is that you are going to see a Spurs side on Sunday that have really been through the ringer in terms of that City game. You saw the effort, commitment, desire put in. So that's I think it's really important we make that point that, look, we all want to go to the stadium and see Spurs beat Villa, but It won't be an easy game.
No, what's interesting about that, Rick, Ben and Sim, is like you talk about Werner going off with an injury or whatever, and now so, Mike, we're
my God, how are we going to cope? How are we going to cope?
2 days ago, we'd have been clapping him off like, yes. The way football is, the way fans are, it's like, result, we don't have to try and pick Werner now. Now we're going, that could be a difficult one.
I think that also because Wilson.
We're not fickle much, eh? We're not fickle as fans.
I think Wilson's got a setback as well. Over there, he's got this setback. So I mean, hopefully Sonny will be back as well for Villa. But I just want to make that point that I think we can't afford losing our heads after that. That's not going to be an easy game, Villa. And I'm not saying we should have a negative mindset going into that, but that is going to be a really tough game. They're unbeaten for the last couple of months, doing really well under Emery. They want to have a response after the Carabao Cup. We've just come after a high on the back of our result, and I think it would have taken a lot out of the boys. So expect a tough game.
28 away games unbeaten, Rick. 28
how many
games. Do you know who that was? Man City, baby. And we just...
Well, yeah.
Come on.
We are the ruiners.
I just can't underestimate Villa. They're a really, really good side. I know they've gone out the cup, but they've started the league really well. You have to say that. They have. I think it's actually Aston Villa's best ever start to a Premier League season so far. Really,
I back us against anyone at home, Rick. I really don't care. I think we're a really good home side. I think apart from the Arsenal game, we've pretty much battered everyone that has come to our stadium so far. And I know Villa are obviously a very good team, but we battered them 4-0 at Villa Park last season. And at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, we should have beaten them last year as well, where Bentancur got that injury. We should have been 3-4-0 up in that first half. So I think, I mean, it's obviously going to be a difficult game, but I've got no question about it that we can go and win.
Some of their away performances as well, they have got a bit lucky. They drew 2-2 with Ipswich, where it could have easily gone either way. Against Fulham, it was Fulham missed a penalty at 1-1. It could have easily been a Fulham going into the lead, but Villa instead they missed it, and Villa went on to win. So like they've had a few lucky ones apart, obviously, but you need that away from home. I'm not taking away from. I'm just saying, it's not, but like they've been incredible away from home.
Wish we could get a bit of luck away from home.
Yeah, we don't get any luck. When it comes to what you're saying about obviously Van der Ven being missing and Dragusin coming in, obviously it's obviously better than last year, Dragusin coming in compared to Emerson and Davis that we had last year. And cast your mind back to the Villa game at Villa Park last season when we won 4-0 at 0-0. Van der Ven went off injured and Dragusin came on, and we ended up winning 4-0 even though the game was at 0-0. So we can cope with Dragusin, I think. We'll just have to make sure that he's still not quite there on the ball. I think it's fair to say. I think he's still quite awkward when he's got the ball at his feet, and that needs to be worked on massively. But
however, to caveat though, after that Villa game, what did we go and do? We went and got battered by Fulham at Craven Cottage.
We're playing Villa on the weekend. We're not playing Fulham at Craven Cottage, so that's the main thing.
Oh man, I just think it'll be an interesting period now for Spurs, because I think the fans now have got something to really, grit their teeth and bite in. I say grit their teeth and bite into, but we're in a really good place now. To be where we are now, still in all cup competitions. Let's be about it, boys. How many times have we seen Spurs go out of the Carabao at the start of a September October period, and just naturally you then start the season maybe become a little bit disenchanted. You start to look for problems. Whereas now we're still in all 4 cup competitions to at least December towards the end of the year. Beat United and we go into the start of January still in all 4 cup competitions and fighting on all 4 fronts. I always say it's a really, really exciting season. When you go into January, February and you're playing still for everything, as a fan, that's what you love. You love going to games, you love talking about Tottenham, and you love being involved in all the competitions. And look, that's what we want to be. We want to be a team. I made this point earlier. We want to be a team that is ambitious to win. And that's my biggest point. We know we've got issues upstairs. I've made that clear in what I feel about upstairs in terms of the hierarchy at Tottenham. But the manager and the players, I want there to be an emphasis on that group of winning. Okay, forget what's happening upstairs in terms of what their ambition is or what they're looking to do on and off the pitch. In terms of the playing squad, I want us to have that vision of winning. And it feels like with all the interviews I hear from Dom, I think he said it before the game, from Maka mentioned Decky, there seems to be a real emphasis on this group. They want to win. And please God, Ange Postecoglou is the man to lead us there.
Absolutely, and it's better that you said that than anyone else said it. So I'm happy we can end it there.
What Ricky was saying about I'm just looking at our League Cup wins over since we beat Chelsea in the 2008 final. It's such slim pickings when it comes to big wins in this competition. We beat Arsenal at the Emirates and we beat Chelsea on penalties, and that's pretty much it. Since then, in the last 17 years of League Cup games, and we've barely had big wins in the last few seasons.
Beat Arsenal 5-1, didn't we?
That was after the. That was
after.
That was before. Sorry, I'm saying since that League Cup win in 2008.
That was that same year. Yeah,
that was 17 years, 16 years ago though.
2008, boys. 2008 was a fantastic year for winners. Yeah, for winners. 2008. Not only did we win the League Cup, but your good self here goes and wins the TV show The Apprentice. It was a vintage year, team. Vintage year. I cannot wait for us to go and win something else. I can't be.
Mackie, you got to get yourself on some other TV show this year so you can win yourself.
Mate,
so
that's it. That's it, mate. I tell you what.
Britain's got talent for Macca. Come on.
Maybe this collaboration that we're doing is going to win us trophies. It's going to win us trophies for We Are Tottenham TV, for Last One on Spurs as well, and that's what we want. We want to just progress, and I think I do agree with you about the winnings. The power I spoke about this on the Last One on Spurs a couple of week ago about the corridors of power in Chelsea and their winners and that sort of stuff. But winning starts with doing the basics, the fundamentals in the right way, and that is what Ange has put down, the foundations to be able to. Now, the other key thing is when these managers come out and say, these players come out and say, we want to compete, we want to compete. It's not a lack of ambition. It's the ability to say, if we're competing, we then know something can happen. We just talked about it. It's fine margins. At the end of the day, that League Cup final that we sacked Jose for 6 days before it, and then Mason was in charge, and we lost 1-0 to City. We only lost 1-0. It was a drab game, and we all know it, right? But we only lost 1-0. At the end of the day, and it's kind of like something that changes or turns, a penalty, a red card. All of a sudden, we won the trophy, and all of a sudden we don't have this tag anymore of this trophy. And you make an amazing point about Villa. If they want to be big, and they should be hurting after that League Cup defeat because they should be wanting to go for them sorts of trophies. The Brentfords, the Villas, the Evertons, the Spurs. And I don't want to do us disservice, but they are the trophies that we need to be going after because they're the realistic one. We're not going to win the league. I know I've banned and whatever should we, but we're not going to win the league yet. Maybe we might, but we're not going to yet. But
next year,
definitely win the Carabao Cup, can't we, team? We can definitely win the Carabao Cup. So let's go and win it.
100%.
All right. Well, big up to you two. I think we're going to leave it there. But I want to thank both of you guys for coming on once again today. The great channel that is Last Word on Spurs. Rick, do you want to tell people what's coming up this week?
Yeah, we were going to do our Villa preview tonight, but we've changed that. We're now doing it tomorrow. My wife's really happy with me at the moment, I can tell you that. Well, I mean, there's no point doing a Villa preview when you're not sure who's even going to be around with the squad. So we're having to hold fire on that. So we'll get an update from Ange on that. And then, of course, same as you boys, we'll be obviously providing coverage after the Villa game, as you wonderful boys will be as well, where hopefully we've come off the back of a good week. But I just think, again, I've never spoken to so many Spurs fans saying that. I'm just so happy, And listen, I don't get me wrong, league wins are great. And, again, I just want to make that emphasis that I spoke to so many Spurs fans today, just as a reminder sometimes what these cup competitions mean to some supporters. Not everybody, I get, again, I'm going on this point again, this tangent about cup competitions. But to emphasise the point, I think we all say, boys, we want to be in the game to win. We all want to feel that we're competing, that we're driving towards something. And that is what really, I say a result like that last night, results like that are what connects a fan base to a manager. When you look back at our time with our favourite wins that we've had as Spurs fans in general, yes, there's league wins in there, but I think if you go and you really look hard at some of the cup wins we've had, some of the European wins we've had, that bond that there is between away fans, home fans, with our managers over time is what sets you that collective spirit that this could be something special. So all I urge is get behind the team, get behind the manager. And again, I've wavered in that approach with the manager, but at the end of the day, it was really important that he recognised the importance of last night, which he did. And now, look, we've got a really exciting quarter. I need advances to the semi-finals there, boys. Quarter-finals to come our way. Just get behind the boys, get behind the players, get behind the manager, and look, come on the Spurs.
Exactly. Get behind the manager.
Boys, bookmark this for Rick saying this, right? Can we do a little clip on honest, because basically when we get absolutely ruined by Man United in the quarter final,
don't do this.
Manager, this manager.
If he goes and makes 7 or 8 changes, yes, I am going to go mental, and you may well play this.
How many changes did we make for City? Just quickly.
6.
How many?
Six or five or six. Yeah.
No way, it's not good.
Look at the players coming in there, Matthew. The players coming in. It's a good side. Good side. Close it, boys. Where we going with this? Put me into midnight.
Maka, really appreciate you as well. So thank you for coming on, my friend. And I guess we'll catch up next week, guys. So looking forward to it. And let's hope you're talking about happy Spurs fans. Let's hope we're still happy on Sunday evening, guys. But big up to all of you guys in the chat as well. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.